Hey everyone, welcome back to another Mattel Jurassic World review. Today we'll be taking a look at the new Savage Strike Postosuchus. This is another Mattel Jurassic World figure that's been pretty hard for collectors to get their hands on. It was originally supposed to come out in Wave 2 of the Primal Attack Savage Strikes. I know me, along with a lot of other collectors, had that wave pre-ordered through Entertainment Earth months ago, and then we got emails saying that they weren't going to get enough stock of that wave in and canceled our pre-order. So I was pretty disappointed about that. I was actually getting quite nervous that I was not going to get my hands on this figure on, the aftermarket. I've seen this figure going for like 50, 60 bucks on eBay. So I really did not want to have to pay those higher aftermarket scalper prices, but thankfully this figure is now showing up in Wave 3 of the Savage Strikes, and I actually ended up ordering the whole wave from Amazon Japan. I'll leave a link in the comments if you want to order that wave for yourself. Order it from Amazon Japan. It comes to about $90 with shipping. There's 6 figures in the box. That comes to just about $15 a figure, which is not a bad price. It just saves you the headache of trying to track all these figures down. Now, this figure has been seen in the US. That previously mentioned Wave 2 of Savage Strikes has popped up at a few stores out. I think it's out in the Midwest called Myers. It's a supermarket and they have a toy aisle. I know a couple collectors have reported finding the Postosuchus at that particular store in the US. So hopefully we'll see this figure popping up at more US retailers so people can have an easier time getting their hands on this cool looking Postosuchus. So let's just go over the packaging quick before we crack this figure open. This comes in the same style packaging that we've seen the other Primal Attack Savage Strikes come in. You got the paddock fences with the nice sunset in the background, Jurassic World logo up in the corner, owned in blue as always. And as you can see right here, this is the Japanese style packaging, and translating this would translate to Postosuchus, or if you're going by how it's translated on Amazon Japan, Postsquirts. And spinning it around, you have a picture of the Postosuchus with its Savage Strike action, the extra wide chomping action, and then there's a Japanese toy warning sticker covering over here. There would be a picture of the other figures in the waves. So that pretty much does it for the packaging. So let's crack this figure open and take a closer look. And here is the Postosuchus out of the packaging, and this is a neat little figure. My favorite part about it is that bright blue coloration. It really makes this figure pop, especially among the other Jurassic World figures. A lot of them are just, green, grays, and browns, and this blue coloration really makes this figure stand out. Especially that bright orange eye, it really contrasts well with that blue background. So a couple quick facts about Postosuchus. Postosuchus isn't a dinosaur. It is a large extinct reptile from the late Triassic period of North America. Now, some earlier depictions of Postosuchus show it as a quadruped, just like this figure right here. But more recent studies show that this animal was a biped, which means this animal moved around most of the time on its hind legs. The reason for that is these front legs are way too short for this animal to be always moving around on all fours. It may have been able to walk around on all fours when it was just, just walking around slowly for short periods of time. But most of the time when this animal moved around, it walked around on its hind legs. So let's just do a couple quick measurements. This figure is from tail to nose, just about 7 inches long and just about 2 inches high at the hips right there. So Postosuchus was 13 to 16 feet long. So that'll put this figure somewhere in the 122 to the 127 scale range. All right, let's zoom in and take a closer look at some of the finer details on this model, starting with this really nice head sculpt. Got a lot of nice sculpted detail in here. The teeth are painted in off-white color. The eye is a bright orange color, and I love how it contrasts with that blue plastic. Now, I've noticed Mattel's been doing this with some of their Savage Strike figures, like namely the Savage Strike Charlie. They're just printing the eye on there. They're not putting any paint on the pupil. The pupil color is actually whatever color the base plastic is. It's not that noticeable on this Postosuchus since the pupil is so small, but on some of the larger figures, it is very noticeable. Actually, even on the Massive Biter Seats, if you look at the pupil, there's no color in there. It's just the dark blue plastic underneath the eye color, and I think it would go a long way if they just added a little bit of color to the pupil. Some figures they do it for, some they don't. I don't know what the reason is behind that. And then opening up the mouth, you have a nicely textured tongue as my hand shakes out of control. The gums on the side are painted in red, and then flipping it over, you can see the roof of the mouth is also painted. And then the lower jaw right here, you can see there is some real nice scale detail along that bottom jaw. The bottom jaw is cast in white plastic. And then turn the figure over, you can see there is some white paint along the belly, and it just fades out to about the midsection. And since we got the figure turned over, here is the scan code for those of you that want to scan it into the fax app. And then turn the figure over, starting at the top of the head right here, you got all these nice black markings that go all the way down the body to just about the midpoint of the tail. And I like how the black contrasts with this blue coloration. Definitely a really nice color scheme on this Postosuchus. And then going down to the front legs, the hand claws are not painted in, which is the case for most of the Mattel figures. And then going down to the back legs, same thing. The hind feet have no paint on the claws right here. You got a nice sculpted tail. You got some scoots. The back is very reminiscent of what the back of a crocodile or alligator looks like. And you got some nice sculpted in scales along the side of the figure right here. And even on the thigh, you have some really large alligator looking scales on the thigh of this figure. So all in all, a very, very well sculpted figure. Moving on to articulation, this figure does have basic articulation. Some of it is tied to the action feature. The front legs can move forwards pretty much 360 degrees. They are on a hinge if you want to swing them out for whatever reason. The hind legs are on a ratchet. They will click into different positions, and they are also on a hinge to help with stability, which you really don't need since this is a quadrupedal figure. And then the rest of the articulation is tied to the action feature. So right here along the tail, what you want to do is just push the tail to the right, and it will cause the jaws to open wide and snap shut. So definitely a pretty cool action feature on this Postosuchus. You get that nice wide chomping action, as it says on the back of the box. All right, let's move on with comparisons. Here it is with one of the human figures. Here it is with John Hammond. This Postosuchus should be a tiny bit larger, and it would scale really well with the human figures in this line. And then here it is with the Attack Pack Dilophosaurus. And here it is with the recently reviewed and its wave mate, the Scutosaurus. You can see the Scutosaurus is a really, really bulky figure compared to this Postosuchus. And here it is with the Soundstrike Majungasaurus. And lastly, here it is with the Massive Biters Seats. So, final thoughts on this figure. I really like this Postosuchus. My favorite part is the blue and black coloration. I just think those two colors contrast really nicely together. And it's always good when we get new species from Mattel. Mattel's been doing a great job of giving us some really obscure species. And it's always welcome to have a non-dinosaur extinct animal added into the line. So this Postosuchus is perfect in that regard. And like I said at the beginning of the video, this figure is very rarely showing up in the US right now. It's part of Wave 2 and Wave 3 of the new Savage Strike. Wave 2 has been popping up very rarely at I think it's a Midwest supermarket chain called Myers. So if there's Myers in your area, might be worth checking out, see if they have any on the shelf. I'm sure Wave 3, because it also includes Camp Cretaceous figures, will be in the US relatively shortly. Wave 3 is just popping up I ordered mine from Amazon Japan, like I said at the beginning of the video. Links in the description if you want to just order a case for yourself and save you the trouble of tracking them down. This wave's popping up Australia and a couple European countries. So, like I said, hopefully this wave shows up in the US relatively soon. And that will pretty much do it for the review. I actually have a ton of new stuff on top of the other three figures in this wave I need to review. I actually have a lot of stuff to review for once, which is actually kind of nice. So I have a lot of cool things that will be reviewed on the channel in the next coming weeks, so be on the lookout for that. And as always, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, show your support by hitting that subscription button just below the video. Each subscription helps out the channel tremendously, and it's greatly appreciated. And I'll see you guys for the next one.